Welcome to video 2 of our Officiantly how-to series, where I'm teaching you what Officiantly does for you and how to use it. Now, this is the template creation video. We're going to pick up right where we left off from part 1. What we've created in Officiantly is the ability for the system to hold and save as many templates as you would like. If you're a professional wedding officiant, you know when you create a script for a new couple, you like your own favorite wording to show up there. So Officiantly is going to take all the details of our particular couple after we do the workshop with them. You're going to see that in the future video coming up, and it's going to generate the script. When it generates that script, what kind of language is there for the opening remarks and the welcome and the ring exchange and well, it's a default right now. It's the one that I use in every single wedding that I officiate. So I don't really need this template feature. But as we created this platform, we talked to people who were using it, and they said, well, I have my own favorite wording for ring exchange, for opening remarks, for closing remarks, for how I pronounce the couple, for how I present the couple. And that's why we created this template feature, so that once you set it up, your favorite wording will appear. Also, if you have different types of ceremonies, or maybe it's in an entirely different language. We have some officiants in the Unboring wedding community who use this system who say, I officiate a lot of weddings in Spanish. Well, you can create a fully Spanish template. You only have to do it once, and then you can just click it from the drop down every time you create a ceremony, and that's the language that will be generated in the ceremony script draft when you choose that template. So without further ado, let me show you exactly how that works in Officiantly. We're picking up right where we left off. We're creating this sample script here for Casey and Jordan, this sample ceremony inside the ceremonies area. And right now, if you select your ceremony script template, you see that what is going to be served up and created and generated for this ceremony is the Unboring ceremony template. It is the default. Like I said, it is the one that I use in every single wedding that I officiate, so I'm biased. I think it's great. That's the one I will always choose. Chances are, though, as you officiate more and more, and if you're already an experienced officiant who has purchased Officiantly, you want your own favorite wording to be generated for every ceremony you create, and that's why we've allowed that to happen here. So right now, this is the default. It's okay if you create your ceremony first and then choose this default. You can come back and edit the ceremony and choose a different script for it after the fact. And so right now, we haven't made a mistake or anything. I'm going to show you the templates feature, and we're going to kind of go backwards and show you what happens when we create a ceremony. Basically, spoiler, when we create a template and there are more options than just this one, they will appear in the drop down. Let's do that now. We're going to click save, and you're going to see how Officiantly is going to say now that this ceremony has been created and saved. Now you're getting the dashboard for this ceremony, and we're going to move through all the steps, the 9 control panels for this ceremony in future videos. But now it's time to go to My Templates, because I want to show you this feature first. So My Templates is under here now, underneath the new ceremony we created, Casey and Jordan. You're going to go to My Templates, and we don't have any custom templates created yet. So the first thing you need to do is click Create a New Template. You're going to want to give it a name. I'm going to call it Mark's Favorite. You can add an even more detailed description here so that it shows up in the listing of your templates. Right now, though, that's good enough. And if you have it in a different language, you want to say Spanish template. If maybe it's very religious, you'll say religious template or non-religious. The possibilities are endless for you. Now that we're inside here, there's some things that I'm going to unpack for you in this video, but here's a rundown of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover these green boxes and what they mean. And that means I'm going to unpack for you the idea of the placeholders. So much of the automation in Officiantly depends on these placeholders and where they occur in the ceremony script draft template here. And I'm going to cover a little bit of a tricky area in the template that has to do with the speech area, because we don't want the couples seeing your wedding officiant speech. In the Unboring wedding process and style and system, we hide that from our couple. I think the couple should see the entire script except for your speech. And so I'll just show you one of the important idiosyncrasies of Officiantly, so stay tuned for that. Now, first of all, this is the preloaded default template that you are looking at. It is the Unboring wedding ceremony, basically. It it is the ceremony that I officiate with, that I teach inside Unboring Wedding Academy, etc., etc. Like I say, it's already my favorite. I know we named this template Mark's favorite. We probably should call it Mark's alternate or something like that, because my favorite is already here, and I think it's pretty great. That said, let's talk about what happens when you want to start adding your own language to this template. The first thing we can do here is collapse all and expand all. What does that do? When you click collapse all up here, you're going to see that basically we have an outline of each section of the ceremony, and then you can expand it by clicking on here, and every one of these ceremony items, areas, it does expand out, okay? If you want to collapse it, condense it, we can click collapse all. You can still rename your template right here. Like I said, maybe we don't want to name it Mark's favorite. We want to name it something else. Let's cancel that. If you go ahead and do that, you update your template and view it again. And this add event here is when we collapse all, you can see the outline of the ceremony, but maybe you want to add a default ceremony event that happens in every single one of your ceremonies. For example, if it's very religious, you will add a prayer, that kind of thing. Now, I should warn you that in the wedding workshop area of every single script you create, so let's go back to Casey and Jordan, the wedding workshop, you will be choosing whether or not they want religious elements in there, whether they want a unity ritual, okay? So Officiantly is going to do that for you. More on that when we cover the wedding workshop video. Let's go back to my templates now and go back into view. What we really want to concern ourselves here is the basic structure of a pretty classic contemporary wedding ceremony, the kind you're going to use in, I would say, 90% of all your ceremonies. You want to put your own wording in all of these main elements that will typically appear. So you probably don't want to concern yourself with things like ceremony notes, where other things are going to be imported from the wedding workshop, officiant checks. All of these things are going to be imported in from the wedding workshop specifically. What we're most interested in is where you do the talking. So for example, officiant opening remarks, this will appear in the script. We want your couple signing off on it. This is going to be the script that you carry into the ceremony. And you can see for every single wedding I officiate, it says, "Good afternoon, everyone. Are you ready for Marrier B and Marrier A? Are you ready for Casey and Jordan to finally get married?" Now, I also poke some fun. I say, "Good afternoon. Come on now. You can be as rowdy as you want." And so however you want to open the ceremony, that is what you want to put here. If it's different and somehow deviates from the default language, and this is going to be true throughout the entire ceremony, when you kick off, how you start your speech, what you say for the vows, what you say for the rings, okay? So I'm going to use just one example section here and show you how you might want to change something. Let's insert here what I said. Maybe you want to poke fun with a little bit of "Good afternoon, I can't hear you, you can be rowdier than that." Let's put that scripting in here instead. Okay, so I just typed this in. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not sure if you noticed, but we're the only ones here. We can be as rowdy as you want. Let's try that again. Good afternoon, everyone." Let's make sure the grammar is proper. "Are you ready for Marrier A and Marrier B to finally get married?" Again, we're going to talk about these placeholder brackets in a moment, but when I click save, now that is the wording that's going to appear every time I choose this template. Remember the last video, when I set up a ceremony. So if this is your default, again, the one that's preloaded and Officiantly is the Officiantly default is my script, but if you're creating this for the first time, you will want to create your default ceremony. So put your favorite wording in here. This is what I say at the beginning of every ceremony. You're going to have something different. Now, what happens when we want the couple's names for this particular ceremony and every ceremony we create, the right couple's names to show up in a particular line or set of wording? That's what these placeholders do. Every single one of these green boxes is dragging and importing in specific information from the wedding workshop area we're going to work on with our couple. It brings it right in and plunks it inside the ceremony script, specific information, not generic information. So all around, we want to say things that are fairly generic and can appear in every ceremony, but the specifics are going to be inside these placeholders. Now, up here, we have a list of the placeholder tags. You can expand that out and take a look. These are all things that are going to be imported from the workshop into this ceremony script template. So the AV text name, the announcements, these are in alphabetical order. all the announcements you talk about with your couple, the name of the best man, the couple's photo preferences, custom elements, the DJ's name, the dress organizer, that's the person who arranges the dress if there's a bride and she comes up and takes her place at the front, entrance order of people, the escort's name, if someone's escorting a marrier down the aisle, who is that person, family passed on, this is the name of a loved one who has passed on, you'll see that in the script below in the template, flower girl, guest action, I'm not going to go through them all, but you get the picture. In the wedding workshop, you're going to be entering in that specific information, and behind the scenes Officiantly brings that in and puts it in the template. Okay, this is going to happen in real time. So let's look up here. Rehearsal location and date. Whatever rehearsal date and time you put in the wedding workshop, that's coming up in a future video, that will appear here in this particular ceremony when you generate the script draft, okay? Now, you can duplicate these boxes however you want, so I'm going to show you down here an example of that. Good afternoon, everyone. Let's save that, and you can see we do have the marrier's name still there. But what happens if I wanted to say something like, we're the only ones here, we can be as rowdy as we want, and I sure as heck know that Marrier B and Marrier A want us to be as noisy as possible or as joyful as possible, something like that. What happens if you want to say that at just about every ceremony, but you want the couple's names from this ceremony to appear in that place? So maybe you've already guessed. All you have to do is copy and paste this set of brackets or any bracket that you want and put it in exactly where you want. So let me show you that right now. If I wanted to say, again, I know they want us to be as joyful as we can. All we have to do, we copied, we paste. I know that Marrier B and Marrier A want us to be as joyful as we can, so let's try that again. Now, again, because we put the placeholders in here that the system recognizes, it's always going to pull in the couple's names for this ceremony. So in this case, Marrier B is Casey, Marrier A is Jordan. But if it was Sam and Alex, if Marrier B was Sam, then that would go in. If Marrier A was Alex, then that would go in. You get the picture. Now, we set the color to green. What does green mean? Well, first of all, it allows you to see all throughout the ceremony where placeholders are and where information is going to be pulled in. That's really important for you as you build out your own wording in sections like vows and how you start out the ring exchange or any part that you want to customize at all. But the green box means that the system properly understands this placeholder, and that's really important. If you don't enter it properly, the system won't know that it's supposed to pull in specific information from the workshop into this area. So if we were hand typing this section, say, and we mistyped, and Marrier maybe only had one R in it, do you see how the box turned orange, reddish orange? That means the system is not going to know what that is, and you're just going to get that weird placeholder in the ceremony script. If that happens, no big deal. You just edit it in the moment in the ceremony script draft, and I'll show you that area. That's always going to be editable. You're never going to be locked in. But to save you time in terms of creating a template, you want to make sure that these conform to the system placeholders that Officiantly understands so it can put in the correct information here. So just always make sure when you make any changes, copying and pasting, that you use the correct placeholder. If it is, it will be green. Okay, so you can edit to your heart's content. I just showed you there, for example, story and intent of marriage. If we come in here, you click a section, you can change how you start it. Every ceremony I start, friends and family, we know that Casey and Jordan are here today to get married. They're perfect for each other. Can I get an amen? Can I get a heck yeah? You can now create your perfect wording however you want to start your story off, to start any section off at all. But here's something very important I want to share with you when you're creating your very first template. There are certain things in this template that will disappear based on choices you make in your selection of elements inside the wedding workshop. So for example, in the wedding workshop, there's an area that asks the couple, has a significant family member recently passed away that we should honor and commemorate in the wedding ceremony itself. Now, I have a whole theory around this, a whole philosophy around this. I'm not going to explain the how and the why of wedding officiating. That's inside my course, Unboring Wedding Academy. But this is an example that I got to talk to you here about. If you select yes, if the couple said yes, we do have someone, and they tell you who they are, you're going to say yes, and you're going to choose that person's name. And that is right here in the script. Today's a day of tremendous joy and celebration. And as we celebrate, we are mindful especially of, and it'll pull the person or people's names in here. However, if you select no for that part, this part will disappear from the template. So some of these are actually dynamic, and that's why I would recommend not deleting anything out of the ceremony script template you're creating, but only add parts that you would like. Okay, so that's kind of a template philosophy. Don't delete, but yes, add. The reason for that is the workshop's going to add even more sections sometimes. It will delete irrelevant sections sometimes based on selections you make in that wedding workshop panel as you work with your couple. Okay, so when you're creating your very first template, don't get crazy and say, oh, I'd never want that in there, I'd never want that in there. Create a template and see how it behaves for your first few ceremonies. For example, if there's no reading, the reading will come out. I don't want you to think if you see this here, oh, there must be a reading in every single ceremony. No, but if there is a reading, this is the template wording that will show up. Now, if you want other things to show up by default, then by all means put them in here. For example, if for some reason in your part of the world you are always doing a sand mixing ritual, for example, in every single ceremony, you would want to add a sand mixing ceremony. The way to do that would be to click add event here, give it the heading you would like, sand mixing unity ritual, and add it. Now it will appear at the top, and when you collapse all, you can simply pick that up and drag it down to wherever you think it goes best in the ceremony. I think a unity ritual typically goes best after the vows and before the rings, so I would pop it here. Then I would write this section out. That's what the add item is inside this heading now, inside this new element we've created. You can create your own favorite scripting that will show up in every single wedding ceremony. So let's say, just for the sake of argument, that you had AI write your sand mixing ritual. You can paste that whole thing in here, and when you have AI do it, by default, it'll say partner 1 and partner 2. However, remember, we have placeholders, and they follow the formula of bracket and then the proper format with ... and close bracket. So you could even say, just theorizing here, AI, you could instruct it to replace partner 1 and partner 2 with the proper placeholder format, so that once we click save here, the boxes should be green. All right, so now let's do that. Let's select all. Do you see how what we're going to do now is we are going to replace it, and it's going to have the proper placeholder formatting for Officiantly. When we click add, we should see green boxes. And there you go. Now every single time Marrier B, Marrier A is created for a specific ceremony, the correct names will be brought into this sand mixing unity ritual. Again, you will have an opportunity to add this in the wedding workshop for every ceremony you create. You would only want to add a template item here if A, you know that you will be doing it for almost every ceremony you create, or B, you always want it to show up, and then inside the ceremony script draft for a particular couple, you just want to click delete and make it go away. It is easier to delete rather than to add, so you could load up any number of unity rituals or any kind of elements in a template and then just click the trash can when we get inside. I'll show you what the ceremony script draft looks like when we get there. But those are your options. You can always change the name of any heading by clicking this little pen icon, and you can always delete an entire section that you added by clicking the trash can, clicking delete, and there goes the sand mixing unity ritual. Now, the final thing I need to tell you about happens inside the officiant speech. You can see this here in the story and the intent of marriage. It's essentially your officiant speech. You can work on the preamble, and anything here before the your story goes here writing in progress Officiantly is going to pop your entire speech in this section in one of the final panels of each ceremony final draft. And again, I'll show you how to do that. So you don't want to touch this because this is where the story is going to go, and that's for your eyes only. But here's what you need to know. Anything you change underneath this line is not going to be seen by the couple. They did it. Can we give it up for them? Anything here that you change, what they love about each other, what others love about them, and the way that you wrap up your speech, that is not going to appear in the ceremony script draft. That is going to appear in the specific area of Officiantly that deals with your speech, okay? So what I mean is, and this might make more sense later, is if you add things to your template here, then go into the ceremony script draft that the couple sees and you say, it's not there, I want the couple to see it. This is not the place to make changes or add things that you want the couple to see. This is still the for your eyes only section. This will make sense later. So make any changes here you want. For example, if you have a favorite way to wrap up your speech, a certain reflection, a certain spin or meaning you give on marriage, yes, by all means, make all those changes here, but they're not going to be seen by the couple in the ceremony script draft. They're going to be in the storyboard section. Again, this will make sense in later videos, okay? So I need to tell you about that. Don't think your template didn't take when you make a change here and then look for it in the ceremony script draft. This is intentionally designed to be hidden from your couple's view, and therefore, when you look at the ceremony script draft, it's not going to be there because that's exactly what your couple sees as well. Again, the whole system Officiantly is designed to complement the Unboring wedding style and system. I have a method and a reason for every single thing I do, and this is one of those little things where we want the speech hidden, therefore it shows up somewhere else when you change the template here. But you will see those changes in the storyboard area, and I'll show you what all that looks like. Right now, we'll just zoom back out to Casey and Jordan. That saves as you go the template. And so here's what I mean is any changes you make in that section won't show up in the ceremony script draft. They'll show up in the speech storyboard area. I don't want to click on those yet because we do need to go through this chronologically, starting with the wedding workshop. However, let's wrap up this video by going back to Casey and Jordan, the ceremony. Now, you see here, if you just click on this, you're going to get the dashboard. How do you go back into the particulars of the ceremony? You click edit right here. You can delete the ceremony. It'll warn you. Are you sure you want to do that? We're going to click close. Phew, that was scary. Go to edit, and now you will see the option to choose the template we just created. Before there was just one option. Now there's two. Or you can choose the Unboring ceremony template with all my defaults that you saw in the template that you changed. Theoretically, that might be where you start. As you officiate more, you create your own template, many templates, and you'll click that. And now when you click save, that means when the ceremony is generated, coming out of the wedding workshop, the ceremony script draft, all those placeholders get populated by the specific information. It will choose the template you chose in the ceremony of Casey and Jordan. Okay, I absolutely love this feature. It's limitless. You're only limited by your own imagination here. Create as many templates as you want. Like I said, though, the main principle here is don't delete things that you think, oh, I don't want that in my template. Because some of those things will disappear based on answers you give in the wedding workshop as you work with your couple through those sections. Okay, so let's dive into that in the next video. I'm just going to show you how the wedding workshop works. We're going to go through it, and then you will see what we've been talking about when all that information is pulled directly into your ceremony script draft that uses the template you just created. So I'll see you in the next video.